All right, I think maybe we're live.
What's up, guys?
All right, we're live. We're live. What's up, everybody? It's the Jonathan and Lewis Show, Superhero Chat.
That's right. Coming at you live.
That's right.
And in some form of color because you can't see us, but that's okay.
And this week, we're going to be talking about the top 10 Batman villains.
Man, I started the none thing.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Aiming to please.
So, but first, as always, news and notables.
News and notables
for us, Lewis?
News and notables. Oh, hey man, we are under 2 months away from the Wake Forest Mini Comic-Con.
Let's go.
It's August 10th, in case you're wondering, from 10 until 5, and I'm kind of hoping that we can get there early, and Brandon will let us in early, and we'll have a leg up on the competition for comic books.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's exciting. Let's see. There was something I wanted to say. Oh, yeah. News. So I haven't read a whole lot this week. I just haven't. Slacking again. I've been working.
I was out of town, so I have an excuse at least.
Yeah. But I read last week the Legion of Superheroes and the Justice Society of America are coming back.
Let's go.
Bendis will be doing Legion, and who's the guy writing Justice League? Snyder or Tynion? One of those guys will be
both
doing Justice Society. So
both are. Hopefully it'll be Tynion.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like Scott Snyder. It's just he's hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
So
he starts off well, and then he's like scattershot. But no, so that looks cool. Interesting design choices for the Legion. Nothing overly shocking. Just some of the hairstyles. You're just like, I don't think those will still be cool, 1,000 years from now. Yeah. But whatever.
Did they show a design?
Yeah, there's Ryan Sook is going to be the artist, and so there's some really cool design. I think it's on Newsarama or comicbook.com or Comic Book Resources. I can't remember the website I looked at because I look at all four of those with Bleeding Cool regularly, and I'm sure you can find it at one of those. But yeah, so the designs are not. I don't like Saturn Girl's costume. Most of them are still fairly obvious as to who they are. But Saturn Girl's costume, I was like, I don't know who that is. Oh, okay, now I get it. Saturn Girl. Yeah. So.
Yeah, guys, if it's breaking up a little bit, I've got a huge storm right now where I am, and so that's fun. Don't
get hit by lightning.
Yeah, I'm trying. Well, not that y'all were wondering, but I was going to take a shower earlier, and I was like, there's a lot of lightning outside. I should probably avoid that.
He's going to go outside and shower.
So I just looked and saw that Superboy is supposed to show up on Titan Season 2.
Yes, and Crypto 2, I think.
Interesting.
I think they're going to introduce Donna Troy as well.
Let's go. I think they already did.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I thought they did. I haven't watched it yet, but that's what I heard. Yeah, I just still had a hard time getting over the Starfire thing.
It was the F. Batman thing for me.
Yeah, well, I can get over that. I mean, I didn't like it, but I could get over it. But Starfire not really being Starfire, I don't like that. Jason
Todd may show up in Season 2 as well.
He was in Season 1.
Okay.
You're behind, man.
Barely so.
I hadn't even watched it, and I know.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm looking up the Legion of Superheroes now.
Yeah.
I've got to figure
That's
it
all
out.
good. No, it's like I say, the art for the most part looks clean and on character or whatever, but some of the hairstyles choices
Yeah.
seem dated in such a way that like it would be distracting to someone like myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm seeing
anyway.
that's not my favorite either. Although apparently Bendis is saying they're no longer from the 31st century.
Oh yeah, he's saying from the 32nd century, so
Oh.
he's pushing it back an extra 100 years.
Oh, brother.
Really not that big of a issue. I don't even know why he feels the need to do that, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Well, ultimately,
Oh,
the Legion were always set like 1,000 years in the future.
right.
So originally they were from the 30th century. Then when we hit the 21st century, they were from the 31st century. So he's just going ahead and giving himself some breathing room in case the book is late, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So in 100 years.
Right. And
Or
when Doomsday
1,000,
Clock finally comes
years,
out.
sorry. In 1,000 years, people reading back will be like, oh, this makes no sense. If he had said 31st century, this would have made sense, but he said 32nd.
It's still in our future. Maybe that's what he's hoping, that he'll be on the book long enough.
Yeah.
Anyways, so those are big news things.
There was a new Batwoman trailer that came out.
I hadn't seen that yet. And that's apropos.
That looks dumb.
Yeah. But
I mean, I'll admit I'm biased against the character. Never really cared for her. I mean, Tynion did a good job with her in Detective Comics for Rebirth, so I'll give him credit. He made me like two characters that I didn't like, which was Damian and Batwoman. My thought has always just been, we've got a Batgirl, just change her name to Batwoman, and boom, you've got it. You don't need some other lady to be Batwoman. I don't know.
And then you can still have Stephanie as Batgirl or Cassandra Cain as Batgirl.
Yeah. Mr. Wu put some kind of little face there. But hey, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Let us know if you've got any books that you've been reading this week, or any news that you have heard about coming out. Because we're kind of short on it this week. I've been out of town, so I haven't been able to keep up with anything. But I saw a couple things here and there, and yeah, I heard the Marvel has a bunch of stuff lined up for the MCU. Yeah. Of course, who knows if that's actually going to happen? Like, I feel like every second or B-list character from the MCU is getting their own series, or movie. I don't say that to be mean to the characters, just to qualify who I'm talking about. So we're getting a Scarlet Witch and Vision, which is awesome because I felt like Vision was underused. I think Hawkeye is going to be in something. I think they're going to do the storyline where he's passing on the mantle to the next girl, which, yeah, I don't care about. I mean, if it was his daughter, that'd be awesome.
I think that's what they're planning, though.
If they could do, but I think it's going to be the regular girl who gets the mantle, not his daughter.
Oh, that won't be good.
Yeah, so
ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
With that one scene in the Endgame movie, they really made her the one you want to see.
Yeah.
So.
But what's even better is Falcon and Winter Soldier getting their own TV show.
So you reckon it'll be set before Infinity War?
I have no idea. I think it'd be fine setting after. They can just make Falcon Captain America.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Then they might have to change the name of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just using his name for context.
Well, that's what they were calling it, though.
I'm sure he'll be captain by then. But I'm excited because those two are great together.
Yeah.
The only person I didn't see getting anything is the guy playing for War Machine.
Yes, I need him to do something. I want another Iron Man movie with him as the lead.
So we'll see.
Cheadle's a good actor. So.
Of course, we'll get a new Doctor Strange, and we'll get a new Black Panther and a new Captain Marvel. They also mentioned something about the Eternals.
Yes, there's a movie in the works for that.
And I don't know how to feel about that one. So
it could go either way.
Chris Hemsworth said that he'd be up for another Thor movie, which they'd be foolish not to make a Thor 4 with the same people doing it as Thor 3.
Yeah.
Because that was such a big hit. But I think they might be putting him on Guardians for a little bit, which I feel like he just would take too much of the spotlight away.
Unless he dies and Beta Ray Bill takes his place.
Yeah.
They have to do a Thor 4 just because I like the sound there. Thor 4.
There you go. That's a good reason to do a fourth movie.
Well, I mean, the other one made a lot of money, right? So there's a capitalist reason to do another.
I'm just saying off your rationale that Thor 4.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
That's right.
Thor 4.
That's all the news that I know about.
All right, one last thing then. So apparently Marvel is on the retro train. And I'm all aboard. Choo choo. There's a really awesome looking book coming out.
You're silly.
About the Avengers after the Under Siege storyline. So where the Masters of Evil break into the mansion, beat up Jarvis, beat up Captain America and Black Knight. And it's written by Roger Stern, who is an amazing writer. He was part of the crew that killed Superman, as well as who wrote some amazing Avengers stories and excellent Spider-Man stuff too. He will be the writer, and Ron Lim, the guy who did Infinity War, will be the artist. And the cover is a thing of beauty. So it's got Cap, it's got Silver Centurion Iron Man on there, Thor in his classic costume, Captain Marvel, and by that I mean Monica Rambeau, so it just looks really pretty. So you guys go check out that cover. It is a thing of beauty, and I look forward to reading that when it comes out in a couple months. So,
yeah.
All right,
to our main topic today.
No. Batman's bad guys.
All right.
So we're gonna give you all the top 10 of Batman's rogues galleries. Feel free to disagree. We don't mind if you're wrong.
That's right. Or you can completely agree to the truth, you know?
That's right. A wise man once said, "The truth will set you free." So,
but let us know in the comments who you think, where you disagree, where you agree. We want to know what you think.
And if you don't like our video, tell us why you don't like our video. Don't just not like our video. Not that you wouldn't like our video, but if you do, you like our video. Give us a clue. Like we're trying to improve things, and
tell us how we can improve. Obviously, we dropped the video so that you didn't have to watch the jumpiness until I can get my new computer in a month or two, and so that's coming.
And you're not trying to have audio
Lord
problems.
willing.
You just got a lot of light in your area. So
Yeah, well, now I've got a huge storm outside, so it's jumping the audio. So if it's not one thing, it's another.
That's right.
But we trying to make it worth your time. So, anyways, number 10.
Clocking in at number 10 is Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
I love the cartoon version. I love the way that they made him an interesting character and did more with him than the old TV show. He was on there. I don't necessarily recommend those episodes, but and Arnold and his portrayal of the character in Batman and Robin almost made me swear the character off. But thankfully, we do have some good stories.
See, I watched that when I was a little kid, and it didn't bother me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not biased against it.
I am a lot.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to make a top 10 worst comic book movies.
Yeah, that'd be a good video.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, Mr. Freeze. The tragic story of a guy trapped in his own nightmare. So.
Yeah, I like Mr. Freeze. I like ice characters. So I think he's kind of the central ice character of the DC universe. I agree. I know that they focus a lot on Killer Frost now.
And Captain Cold.
And Captain Cold. Man, I like Captain Cold. But for Batman, Mr. Freeze is the top guy.
Yeah.
So
in the Young Justice cartoon, I think it was the first episode, they had all these cold villains teaming up, and I was like, what?
That was a fun episode. Didn't a couple of the heroes team up with them in that as villains? Pretend to be villains and team up with them?
Later, on a later episode, I think so.
Okay. So I think there was an episode in prison where they're working with
Superboy and Miss Martian end up going to prison pretending to be
villains.
Yeah, but it's like a brother-sister duo, and so later on when they kiss, it's like creepy because you're like, what's going on? You know who it is, but Icicle Jr., I think, was the character that was all about Miss Martian's villain character.
Yeah.
And when he saw her kissing her brother or perceived brother, he was really weirded out.
Yeah. So. But I like Mr. Freeze. I think he's one of those tragic characters. He's trying to save his wife. It makes him relatable. You can understand his motives. I think that's
he needs the diamonds.
One of the things that makes me like him, and it just kind of is like, if we were under similar circumstances, we might do the same thing and become the villain.
True. It would be easy.
But yeah, no, I think he's a great villain, and I didn't mind Arnold's take on the character because I was a little kid watching it and I enjoyed it. So there's nostalgia for me. So I understand.
It's painful to watch.
I understand why others don't like him. I mean, it's not the best acting ever, but it's the 90s, man, 80s and 90s.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger is better than the movie. I mean, than the portrayal we got.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's Shakespeare or anything, but he's better than the what we got in that movie.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
All right.
Number 9.
Number 9. It's the Penguin. He'll make you crab lightning and eat thunder.
I love the Penguin. I'll tell you, one of my favorite Penguins is from the Adam West show.
That's who I'm talking about, Burgess Meredith, man. He played Rocky's coach. He's amazing.
I didn't really care for the Tim Burton Penguin.
With Danny DeVito. Yeah, that was a little strange.
Didn't really care for that one as much. That's just me personally. The guy from Gotham, though, man, he was great. He was great. So.
Yeah, I love Penguin when he's playing more of a mobster, and then kind of like stool pigeon role, where Batman goes and threatens him, and he turns over some key information or whatever.
Right.
And I don't mind when he's also like trying to pull off a crime. An underrated cartoon was The Batman. It had more of an anime kind of vibe to it, but the Penguin on that was kind of cool. He had these weird ninja chicks with Edward Scissorhands or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the character is kind of fun. You can't take him too seriously. But I really liked the attention they gave him on Gotham. I only watched the first couple seasons, but I really enjoyed that. There's also another character on there that I loved. But that doesn't get enough screen time. I feel like modern viewers kind of see Penguin as kind of a lame character, but I think he's kind of like the kingpin of the Gotham. He maybe not quite the same, but he's got that mobster presence, and he's kind of got his hands in a little bit of everything.
Right,
and
because he's seeking to be a businessman. And there was one story, and I can't remember what it was, but Penguin's the mayor of Gotham. Like, he somehow becomes mayor of Gotham, and I'm like, that's a brilliant take on the character.
Yeah.
Where he plays sort of that.
Yep, you just froze on me.
But manages to elevate himself to a position of power.
You just froze on me.
You know what I mean?
You there?
I what?
I said you froze on me for a minute there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying, Penguin using his business to elevate himself to a position of legitimate power within Gotham. I think that leads to some excellent story options.
Yeah. Well, and it's an interesting take because he's the opposite of Batman, in that they both have similar circumstances, that they're rich.
Yeah.
But they take it the opposite ways, where Batman tries to help people.
Right.
Penguin tries to help himself.
Yeah.
So he's kind of an opposite of what Bruce Wayne could have been.
Yeah.
If he, had gone down a different path. And I think it's funny that he has a lot of Umbrella and Penguin-ish bird-type jokes and crimes. And
I'm going to steal some Fabergé eggs because they look like penguin eggs.
Yeah, that's funny. That was one thing I did like about Burton's film, was that everything was penguin related and or umbrella related, and I just
they had the ducks too, man. They had the duck cars.
So, I mean,
it was just so weird.
You got your trope, you stick with it, right?
Apparently, you ride it all the way to the bank.
So I always thought that was funny, and they did the same thing in the Adam West Batman too. So.
That's true. That's true. There's talk that Penguin may show up in this new Batman movie if they ever make it.
Well, I've got another person that I want to see before I see another Penguin.
Me too.
All right, number 7.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Clayface. Yes, Clayface. And I don't really care which one, because there's 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
But I like when they kind of incorporate various aspects of all of them. So we got the actor guy, we got the scientist guy, whatever. I just love the dude who is made up of mud and looks like crap and can shape change and
looks like a Scooby-Doo monster.
That's true. Yes, that's a good point.
Or maybe a Scooby-Doo monster looks like
if it weren't for your darn kids.
Maybe Scooby-Doo monsters look like Clayface. So I don't know who came first. Probably Batman.
It doesn't matter.
Anyways, I think it's cool that he has like an actual monster as one of his villains in his rogue gallery.
Yeah.
So all the others are kind of, more like human, except for like Killer Shark or something. Or Killer Croc.
I'm sure there's both.
Yeah.
But I like.
He's more of a giant monster than anything, which is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because how do you fight a big mud monster? I mean, you're Batman, right?
Especially if you have no powers like Batman.
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man has reflexes and a spider sense, but Batman's just got a. And like I said, Clayface can shape change, right? So that's like that subterfuge, adds an extra wrinkle.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the direction they went with him and Tynion's run on Detective Comics. He trying to be a hero, but he knew that there was a monster inside, kind of like a Hulk.
Oh,
and, spoiler alert, Batwoman ends up killing him, but doesn't kill him. It's kind of weird, but it was really good. It was a really good story that they built. There was a few stories that kind of I didn't care for that led up to it, but they really developed it well, I thought.
Another good story, it's like a 4-part story. It's called Mud Pack. Back in the 90s or late 80s, early 90s. And it's supposed to sort of streamline the Clayfaces into just like the one guy is the only one remaining, or whatever. So if you want a Clayface story, go check those out. So,
yeah. All right. Anyway. Number 7.
Is she a villain or not?
She's a villain.
Catwoman. Meow. Anyway.
Oh, man. You're killing me.
Anyways, folks, will they, won't they? Are they going to get married? Do you even care?
No,
will you let Tom King tell his story or not?
I like the old Catwoman. I love her in Adam West Batman. That is so good. She's the temptress that is a real thorn in Batman's side because he likes her, but he also has to choose to do the right thing, which is to stop her. But he sympathizes with her because of her backstory, being an orphan, and tries to save her. I don't know if this is all in Adam West, but I like that.
I don't remember that from that show, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I like that part of the character. And one of the things I like about her in Poison Ivy is it just has a different draw from the normal villains that Batman has, and I think that's pretty cool to explore. Unfortunately, they've made her a quasi-hero, even though she's a villain. So she still does villainous things, but she's supposed to be some kind of hero, even still, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. You lessen the character when you make her not a villain, because half of the charm of the character is that she's seducing Batman
to the dark side.
And she's trying to help blur the lines a little bit with him, and she's somewhat successful sometimes. Yeah. And other times, he's able to overcome her feminine ways.
Yeah, I loved on the old Batman cartoon. There was one where they're getting close, and you can feel the tension. Like, is he about to kiss her? What's going on here?
Yeah.
And then he's like, got her in handcuffs, and you're like, oh, okay, so she's going to jail.
Yeah.
Or at least as a kid, that's what you were thinking.
Right. So I like that part of the character. It's, I think that's why she was created.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way they've gone with her now, because they've left a void in his villains because of that. So.
Well, Bane's currently got her under his thumb, so to speak, utilizing her in I guess it's going to be called City of Bane, breaking Batman mentally or something. So,
I don't know. I haven't kept up with Tom King in a while.
Yeah. Well, you're not missing a whole lot. You could probably jump back in, and you probably hadn't missed anything the way some fans. But anyways,
she's a pretty cool character. I really like her. I really don't like the directions they've gone with her in the recent past. But there's always hope.
That's true. All right. Number 6. Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. So I should mention that I forced Lewis to put her on the top 10. Not because Lewis doesn't like the character, but we don't care for some of the newer versions of her. But if you look back at the old cartoon show, she is amazing. She's one of the best villains for Batman, hands down. And we kind of see her best I think she does her best work when she's beside the Joker. So that was one of the questions we had is she enough of her own villain, or is she a sidekick to Joker? And I feel like she's earned her title on her own, even though I don't like her as much by herself as I did with her being with the Joker.
Not an abusive relationship,
right?
People.
Sure.
I feel like we have to say that.
Right. I thought that was an interesting path to take her down on, to kind of get her out from under him, to be her own character.
Right.
I've heard that in Batman White Knight that we see 2 Harley Quinns, to kind of explain why the Harleys are so different. That the old Harley Quinn, the one that was abused, that was from the original Harley from the show, she ends up kind of leaving the mantle, and this Psycho takes up the mantle of Harley Quinn, and that's why their characteristics are so different. While one is so much more like Deadpool, whereas the other is more like a goofy Joker sidekick. And I thought that was a really interesting take on the character. And I like the goofy Joker sidekick aspect of the character better, because I think she complements him really well. And she was always fun to show up on that show. So I like her now, but I don't like that they're trying to make her a hero as well. I'm just like, just stick with a villain. Can we not just keep a villain? And do we have to make everybody heroic?
Right.
I don't know.
I love the voice actress for the character.
She's great.
And I mean, considering the character started on the cartoon show, and then made her way into the comics, I think we can, gush over this silly show, but like just the way she'd say, Mr. J, I just like,
yeah,
I just love that about the character. Like, there's like, I can't read her dialogue and not want to hear it in that actress's voice. Right. If that makes sense.
Right. They cast her perfectly.
So, yeah.
So
I think the comic book character has lost some of that voice, and I don't mean like literally. I just mean like the things that I was interested in aren't in the comics in relationship to this character, like it once was. Back in the day, like long years ago, there was a Harley Quinn character where she dressed up like a court jester, but it wasn't Harley Quinn.
Right.
So like, I don't know why we needed to make multiple Harley Quinns or anything of the sort. If you want a character who has mental issues and overcomes that, oh great, but they're just capitalizing on the Joker connection. So anyway, yeah, it seems like a lot of the female characters are being redeemed. Whereas the male characters can still, be dastardly bad guys or whatever. So
yeah, kind of weird.
It is, because it's not like if you create a character who's, gay because you want your to say something about gay people being bad guys, that's lazy writing. But if you only want to turn a character because she was in an abused relationship, that she doesn't suddenly become the hero because she was abused, right? Like with the Harley and Joker. And that's why I don't care so much for that version, even though it was presented in the cartoons that way. I think there's a way to write her as an independent character where there are times where she's like, well, screw you, Joker. You were just, rude to me, but, we'll get back together, I guess. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't feel like abused characters have to suddenly become the heroes. We argued for this in the Heroes in Crisis, where Harley could have become this top tier bad guy, villainous or whatever, by somehow revealing that she was the killer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. DC wants their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
It's the reason that Venom is no longer a bad guy, but an anti-hero. And I guess it's working to some degree for them, because I don't understand how they can market her to like a kid audience as a hero though. Because I know she's in that girls cartoon show, right?
Yeah. Well, and she's such a popular character. I think the main reason is that they're trying to reach some of that younger audience. And the best way they can't market her as a villain if they want people to, the kids to really draw to the character, because they can sell a lot. And so I think a lot of it has to do with money, and they make a lot more money by making the character relatable, or kind of a good guy. And so they change it up. Kind of same with Poison Ivy, and because they've done the same thing with her on that show.
Yeah.
And trying to make them more relatable so that there's another character that they can sell. Because they could add some other characters, like I think they tried like Bumblebee, but nobody knows who that is. Or some of these other characters nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
And so they're taking the characters that they know that they have that will sell, changing them so that they'll sell in these certain audiences, is my guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's ridiculous. Yeah. Give me the good character the way that they're meant to be.
Right. Because I mean, if you're doing a girl show, why wouldn't you have a girl villain?
Right.
Right. Like, she could be a constant thorn in the side of the characters or whatever.
Anyways.
Number 5.
Number 5.
We're in our top 5. Number 5 is Bane. Wow, who would have thought Bane would make it in the top 5? As much as I dislike the Dark Knight Rises movie, Bane's story from Nightfall and even before that, it's respect due. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Denny O'Neil, Chuck Dixon, those guys wrote an interesting story, created an interesting character, all for the purpose of getting a point across. And he's a much more well-developed character than Doomsday. He is physically the equal of Batman, and in a lot of ways, he's mentally the equal of Batman. And, his backstory is like a crueler version of Batman, right? His father couldn't pay his bills, so he went to jail. And then, somehow he got out and the son had to pay for his father's mistakes. Whereas Batman lost his father and, you guys know the story. I'm not going to do a Batman origin story right now. But anyway, and then Bane heard of Batman from some other criminals. And in Bane's mind, working up in this prison system, he had to be the biggest and the baddest. And then he heard of the Bat, and he's like, I will break the Bat. And so he unleashes his plan, and Bane has skirted the line at times, trying to be something of an anti-hero. But over and over again, he comes back to the Venom. He comes back to his position as one of Batman's preeminent villains. And he has a striking visual look with the wrestling mask and the tubes and everything on his arms. It's really sweet. One day I hope that they legitimately figure out how to portray him in the movies.
Yeah, I didn't really care for him in the Dark Knight Rises. I know some people like that movie. I thought it was kind of dumb. Although it's hard coming off of the Dark Knight to top that. I mean,
right.
All my objections about that being a bad Joker aside, it was a great movie. It was a really good movie. And Dark Knight Rises just kind of, it didn't really. They tried to be super epic, and I felt like it also suffered. I don't know what it is about the third movie, but third movies try to do too much. I don't know how Thor did it.
Or
made
Captain
their
America.
third movie the best. Well, Captain America is a weird exception because they had all those other characters to pull from.
Okay, that's true.
That have been developed in other movies. I mean, if you had only watched the Captain America movies, it wouldn't really make sense. But
good point.
Yeah, so I don't know. But I think Bane's a cool character. I like that he broke the Bat. I do think he's a little bit overused, just like Doomsday is.
Yeah.
I mean, you really just have like one purpose for the character, and that is to beat Batman. I think there's some recent stories that have been pretty good with him, but I would want to use him more sparingly.
Right.
Would probably be better in my opinion. But that's just me.
All right.
But I like Bane. He well deserves the place that he is in the top 5. Well deserves it.
And that, if you guys are into Bane, hopefully you'll agree with the 4 guys we have ahead of him being properly seated. But number 4 is Ra's or Ra's al Ghul, the Demon Head. And what an awesome character. He's what Batman would be if he just gave himself over to fixing the world without compassion.
Yeah.
Because so I'm just going to go on record. I call him Ra's al Ghul. I know in the cartoon they call him Raish, and I'm okay. I've heard it both ways. But anyways, I think the character is so interesting because he's such a master planner. He's such a capable fighter. He has an awesome look with the pointy hair with the white streaks and stuff. There's so much about the character that is just really cool. And I really like it when they use this character sparingly. If you want some good Ra's al Ghul stories, Tower of Babel, go read that. Justice League, Tower of Babel, JLA, Tower of Babel. Yeah, it's really good. I gave Jonathan a copy. I hope he's getting around to reading it because it is definitely an amazing story. Ra's takes out the Justice League. It's a good story. Let's see. The stories that introduced him are excellent. You can find a trade paperback that has like a handful of the best Ra's al Ghul stories. And aside from just being an amazing character, there's so much of the character and things that are associated with the character that are central to the Batman mythos. The Lazarus Pit brought Jason Todd back to Red Hood. Come on. That's important for Batman. Not only that, but his daughter, Talia al Ghul, she fathered Batman's son, Damian. So we can't underestimate how central a character Ra's is to the Batman mythos because he's a linchpin kind of character. He may not have the visual look of, say, the Joker or the visibility of the Joker where he's all over the place. But when he shows up in a big way. And I dig the character.
He kind of reminds me a lot of Dr. Doom for Batman.
Yes, that might be a great way to look at it. And he always brings with him like conservation kind of stories. So like, Thanos in Avengers was looking to, reduce the population for the sake of conserving the population. Ra's is usually on something like that where he's trying to harvest the population or cull the population in such a way that it ensures the planet's survival.
Yeah. I like that the character brings a lot of ninjas and mysticism and a lot of really cool stuff that Batman otherwise wouldn't get into.
Yeah, we got to have ninjas.
That's right.
And assassins.
So I think that's really fun. And of course, the whole mystical realm that Batman rarely gets into. But when Ra's is around, you get into a lot of it, like especially with the resurrection stuff. Although it can get a little convoluted, like in the Arrow TV show, when everybody and their mother gets risen. But I think it's pretty cool that he's an immortal character. Like he's just been there for a long time, and he just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Even no matter how many times they stop him, he can always come back. I mean, he's not Vandal Savage by any means, but he's got a lot in common.
That's true. I'd like to see them in a death match.
So, but anyway.
All right. Well, it's time for the honorable mentions because we only have 3 guys ahead of Ra's, and so we'd be remiss if we didn't share our honorable mentions. I'm going to throw them out. If you have something you want to say about them, feel free. The Clock King. Not as cool in the comics, but I loved his portrayal on the cartoon show. Particularly like the first appearance in the Batman animated series, and then his appearance the Task Force X series, where he's sort of the planner, strategist behind the scenes, leading the Suicide Squad to invade the Watchtower and steal something of importance. Thought that was cool. The Mad Hatter, Perchance to Dream, is an amazing Batman cartoon episode. Again, I love him more from the cartoon than the comics. Let's see. Scarecrow. Was that not a creepy mask with the burlap sack in the movie? When the worms were like,
Your sound effects
creepy,
are on
man.
par today.
Huh?
Said your sound effects are on par today.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I've been working on them. We may not have a budget, but anyway, yeah. So there's that. Killer Croc. I love the concept of the character. There's one Batman animated episode where he keeps talking about how he almost got Batman. He was like, I had a big rock and I almost hit him with it. But he didn't, and he got beat. Scarface and the ventriloquist. They're so creepy, let me tell you. But in the best possible way. Dummy, Scarface calls the ventriloquist. I always like that. I thought that was funny. But yeah. And let's see, Black Mask. That is a character I think they should do more with.
They've used him a good bit recently, especially in the Teen Titans.
Oh, but I was suggesting maybe like in a movie.
Oh, okay.
I think he'd be an excellent introductory character, villain to a new series of Batman movies.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of low key, but at the same time he has henchmen. He occupies like a kingpin kind of role.
Right.
Anyway, last and certainly not least is Poison Ivy. She is alongside Catwoman, a temptress. She utilizes men with her pheromone powder stuff, and she's all about conservationism and that sort of thing. So I like the character particularly because she can use her feminine wiles, so to speak, to turn good guys against each other. There's a great Robin and Superboy story, World's Finest 3, where she teams up with, she gets Superboy to attack Robin, and then they all end up fighting Metallo or something like that. It's a good story, great artwork. Tom Grummett can't speak badly of his artwork. Anyway, so those are the honorable mentions that we had. Do you have anybody else that I didn't say?
Well, I'd say we would say Deathstroke, but we're firm believers that he's a Titans villain.
That's right. We might put him on.
In case you're wondering, why didn't you put Deathstroke in there?
Yeah,
that's why. That's why he's a Titans villain. In our
plus,
minds.
He never really got to be a Batman villain in the movies. So,
yeah.
All right. So that brings
that one time, but
that's right at the end of Batman vs Superman, right? Or is it Justice League?
I think it was Justice League.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. It might have been Bat versus.
I think you're right. I don't care enough to check.
Anyways. Numero 3.
Two-Face. I almost feel bad about putting him at 3.
I don't.
But yeah, so Harvey Dent got his face messed up in the comics and the cartoon from an acid attack. And I don't mean he was dropping acid and then somehow fell into the fire. I mean someone threw something in his face or whatever. He was a district attorney. He was, good guy on the right side of the law, he wasn't meaning no harm.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, he was very much within the system, trying to work toward positive resolutions for the crimes and the effects crimes have on the city. So in a lot of ways, he started out as the light to Batman's dark, right? Yeah. And I know you've got a lot of thoughts on this, so I'll turn it over to you and kind of let you get into that if you want.
Yeah, what I like, and they showed this a lot in the Dark Knight movie, and those are probably my favorite parts of that movie, where Harvey Dent is lifted up as this character that is gonna save Gotham the right way. He's not gonna be this hidden vigilante that's running around taking out the bad guys, but trying to bring light into the darkness of Gotham. But even the best of the best was taken down, and Harvey Dent was brought down to darkness. And yeah, it's just a really good story, I think. I think it's really interesting that he kind of represented all the things that Batman is trying to fight for, because he's in a broken system. And Harvey's one of the few people that start off as probably the brightest character in Batman, until his accident or his attack, and he becomes Two-Face, and then suddenly he's one of Batman's craziest villains. And so I really dig the idea of the character and his fall from grace, and I think his obsession with chance is pretty cool.
Yes, I was going to say his compulsion. If he is not a picture, like a psychological study on compulsiveness and having to flip the coin to find out what the decision is going to be. I just think that's a brilliant little foible for the character. Yeah. And he always likes to do his crimes in twos, like sets of twos. Like there's a excellent Dick Grayson story where I think he's talking to Nightwing about how he put him in a position, put Batman in a position where Batman could save Robin, or he could save like some judge or something, and Two-Face had it rigged so that there was no positive outcome because of his love of the number two and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd like a movie dedicated to Two-Face.
Yeah.
Not Tommy Lee Jones, who I think is an excellent actor, but he was not made for the role of Two-Face. I'm sorry, he just wasn't. Like, he was so over the top, it was ridiculous. I wish I remember the other dude's name. The other dude was good. Eckhart, I think, maybe Aaron Eckhart or something like that. He was a good actor.
Did they do Two-Face in Adam West's version?
No, they did not. I don't know that Two-Face was around at that point.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Batman villains suffer from what I'm just now calling the Joker effect, and that all the actors who play these characters try too hard to be the Joker. And sometimes you get people like Lex Luthor having the same problem. Everybody's trying to be the Joker, because they want their character to be their performance to be memorable, and so they and I'm sure it's not just the actors; it's also the writing. But there's a lot of movies in the Batman universe that have kind of flopped because the characters tried too hard to be the Joker.
Yeah.
And Two-Face is probably one of those.
And the next guy on our list is also one of those. So you want to segue?
Sure. Number 2, the Riddler. All right. If we were being unbiased, or if I was being biased, I should say. Riddler would be my number one. I like the Riddler a lot. He's my favorite comic book villain. I think he's great. I love that he's so witty and intelligent, and that he tries to outsmart Batman. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of adaptations of him try to make him like the junior Joker, rather than having him this clever guy who's trying to weave this web of riddles to see if Batman can figure them out.
Yeah.
And I think they did him really well in Gotham. I wish they had done more with him, although I haven't seen the later seasons, so maybe they did do him well. I don't know if y'all can hear that thunder, but it is.
I can hear it.
Yeah. So I love the Riddler. I like his design. I love that he runs around with his question marks pole, and I absolutely disliked Jim Carrey's Riddler.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah.
He was basically the Joker dressed like the Riddler, and I hated it. I was like, this is not the Riddler. I feel like people don't know how to write the Riddler well. They haven't for a while, at least. I read Tom King's War of Joker and Riddles because I was pretty excited. Oh, we got a Riddler and Joker, but they redesigned the character and it looks awful. And then it just wasn't funny. I was like, you got the Joker in here, and he's not funny. And you got the Riddler, and like he doesn't give you any really interesting riddles. Like, I'm not hating on Tom King right now. I'm just saying I don't.
Because we can do a whole video about that.
And we probably have. I'm just saying that I don't feel like people really get the Riddler anymore, and I really hate that because I love the character. But yeah, you got anything?
No, I mean, I think he's every bit Batman's intellectual equal, if not superior. And he has enough henchmen and enough distractions to try to pull off his crimes. But again, his greatest failing is he has to be more clever than Batman.
Yeah.
And he has to do it in the form of riddles. If he wouldn't do that, he'd probably not get caught.
Ever. Yeah.
He's that excellent at thinking through the steps of his villainous plot or whatever. But he wants you to know that he's smarter than you.
Yeah, and that's where he gets in trouble.
That's right, and that's absolutely right. So it's in a lot of ways the Riddler is like representative of quite a lot of like Greek hubris, right? Like this pride, this Achilles heel that's going to bring the hero, or in this instance the villain, down.
Right.
And I think the way that they the only complaint, and we've lodged this before, the only complaint with Riddler is the lack of solid riddles. I understand that it might bore some people, but as a mystery fan, like I really love mystery stories and things like that. I feel like there's ways that they could do it. Don't use so many riddles, space it out or that sort of thing.
Riddles don't have to be in word form; they can be in picture form.
That's true
as well. And it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be like the classic riddle. It could be any kind of puzzle.
Yeah.
And fit under the riddle, as long as you have a few riddles in there.
Right.
So.
So anyway, yeah, I think he's an underappreciated character. And like we've talked about before, we like him as a Green Arrow villain too.
Yeah.
Because it stretches the Green Arrow character to try and match wits with this superior intellect. That's no offense to Ollie. That's just Riddler is a very sharp guy. I remember one story they had where he, decided to reform, and in the course he becomes a detective basically, and he figures out who Batman is. Like when he's not trying to focus on these crimes, he thinks clearly, and he's like, "Oh, okay, you're Bruce Wayne, aren't you?" And eventually, he gets a bump on the head or shocked or something. I forget exactly what happens, but he forgets that information. But yeah,
So
dig that character.
Yeah, I really like the Riddler. I think one of the first things that I saw from him was an old Super Nintendo game where you had to fight him, and that was probably my first exposure to him.
Yeah,
and that's where I started to like him because he had the pole, and I like characters that fight with a stick. Like
I think my first,
and then the fact that he was throughout riddles and stuff, I really enjoyed some. All right, number one.
Hold on.
What?
I was just going to say, I think my first exposure to the Riddler was on the Batman cartoon show, and John Glover, the guy who played Lionel Luthor on the Smallville show, he just had this commanding voice, and he had the derby hat and the green outfit, and I just thought it looked really cool.
Yeah.
Like he looked like he was smarter than everybody. So anyway, number one, I know we give Tom King a lot of crap, but you guys knew it was coming. Number one, Batman villain of all time, top rogue, Kite Man. Just kidding, folks. Just kidding. Or I might say I'm just joking. Because was there any doubt who this was going to be? You go ahead and tell.
I would put the Riddler as number one because he's my favorite. But objectively speaking, the Joker is the number one Batman villain ever.
That's right.
And you just can't get around it. He's the yin to Batman's yang. He's the chaos to the order, and it's just this is a great character.
Have you got the Detective 1000 up there right now?
Yeah.
So you guys were looking at this awesome. No, I mean the one with Joker on it.
Right, I've had it up for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. You're fine. This is the cover Bruce Timm did of I think it was a Robinson cover originally. Either that or a Bill Finger cover.
Robinson.
Yeah, I know it was one of them. Anyway, and it's a thing of beauty. He just sort of did an homage in his own Timmverse style. And the Joker, he was originally created to be a one-off character, but somehow became so popular that they brought him back, even though they had killed him off at the end of his first story.
Yeah.
And this was simpler times where they didn't demand a clear-cut explanation how he survived. But he's back. And they do a little bit of that in the cartoon show where Joker dies and somehow comes back without any sort of explanation. And you know what? We love the character so much we don't even care.
That's right.
And they probably could have pulled that off with the Dark Knight if Heath Ledger hadn't died. You know what I mean? Like his character was beaten, and or even Jack Nicholson. I liked his Joker. I thought that was great. His laugh was super creepy, super annoying, especially when Batman is beating the snot out of him. I love that about the Joker, huh?
Other than the origin story for Nicholson, I really liked his Joker better.
Yeah.
But Mark Hamill, we talk about him a lot. That's because he's the best.
We love you, Mark Hamill.
He's the gold standard of Joker.
Man, he broke the mold. And let me tell you something. I read an awesome story. He got fired from working Jack in the Box for doing a clown voice over the intercom taking orders.
That's funny. That sounds like Mark Hamill.
Yes, because he was like, you're talking to a clown head or something, right? Jack in the Box. So why wouldn't it sound like a clown?
That's funny.
But yeah, no. So like the Joker, he takes a beating from Batman and he's laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I like that about the character because it's simultaneously creepy, but just perfect for the character.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Even getting beaten up by Batman and losing is a big joke.
Yeah. Because it's all a big joke. Like in the Joker's mind, it's all like life is one big joke. It's not something to be taken serious. I mean, why else were there so many of the "Why are you so serious?" Things with regard to Dark Knight with Heath Ledger.
Yeah, and I love that nobody really knows his origin. Like he's gotten so many different origin stories in the comics.
Right.
It's just I think that makes sense. Like he would just make a bunch of random stuff up. And probably he's gone so crazy he doesn't even know where he came from anymore.
Right. And because it's all a joke, it doesn't even matter.
Exactly. Which is such a contrast to Batman where everything matters.
That's right. Down to the minutia.
And he plans everything out very perfectly. And Joker just kind of throws a wrench in that plan every time he shows up. And he just kind of goes with the flow, Yeah, I think he's hilarious. And if the Joker isn't funny, that's when I have a problem. I know that humor is subjective to some extent, but the Joker should always be funny. And if he's not making me laugh, then it's not a good Joker.
Right.
Or at least if he's not, going around laughing at himself and doing goofy, weird stuff or creepy stuff that's funny. Like, probably my favorite example of how creepily funny he is in the Injustice game, which is Mark Hamill voice. He if you win as Joker or if the Joker beats you, they all do like a little celebration at the end. Well, Joker pulls like a can of gasoline and is pouring over you while he's whistling a happy tune, and then he lights a match and says, "You're fired," and throws the match on you and burns you alive. And you're just like, he just burned somebody alive with gasoline. Like, that's really, really dark.
Horrible.
But he's laughing at it and making a joke about it. Hey, you're fired. And it cracks me up every time. And inside, I'm like, I shouldn't be laughing because this is awful. And that's the Joker, I think. He's creepily funny. Like, when you're laughing at his jokes, you know that you shouldn't be because of how horrible it is, what he's doing. But he does it in such a silly and funny way that it's really funny. And fun.
Or like in Dark Knight where he shows up in the nurse's uniform and there's nobody else there, but he still bothered to dress up like the nurse.
Exactly. And I feel like the only point in that movie where they actually got him right, other than the pencil disappearing trick, was when he's walking away in the nurse outfit and trying to press the bomb switch, which I know was from what I've heard was him doing ad-libbing because it didn't go off the first time in the actual thing.
Oh, nice.
And so they just went with it, and he kind of made a joke about it in character. So that's pretty cool. But
that is awesome.
Anyways, that's our top 10.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. Where would you put people? Is there someone we missed that you would put on there? Let us know. Yeah, that's all I got. Make sure that if you're new here, go ahead and join the family. hit subscribe. We'd love for you to join us. We try to do live videos every Monday night, Lord willing. And also give us a like.
No, you don't drown or get hit with lightning, right?
That's right. Get my house washed away. Or my computer just gives up finally, which would be a cause of celebration. But anyways, give us a like if you enjoyed that. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought. Good, bad, ugly. We want to know. We're interested in what y'all think. And if you got any ideas for other videos you'd like to, or top tens you'd like to see us do, or other topics that you'd like us to cover, let us know. But I think that's about it.
Yeah.
We will
catch you next time. This is us holding up peace signs that you can't see. Because even though we're live, we're not video recording this.